Good morning, everyone. It's time for Weigh-In Wednesday. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Wednesday. All right. So, if you saw my last video, I was kind of like, I don't think I want to get on the scale this week. I just don't feel like I was honing it in like I have in other weeks where I just, came out and felt so victorious. I felt like maybe my points were just too high this week to have any real loss. But I did get on the scale anyway because I have to. You need to have the data. You need to have it so you can look back and you can make your averages and you can figure out what's going on and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, what worked and what didn't work, right? So I got on the scale and I saw that I was down 1 full pound, exactly. And I will take it. I am so grateful for that. But I just saw a video I wanted to share with you yesterday. And it was my friend Danielle Nichole. She is such a sweet lady. And she has a wonderful channel. She is in Weight Watchers and she does the reviews every week. She has great recipes. Her last video, I'm going to link that video below if you want to go and watch it. She was just kind of like an open book. And I really appreciate that because she really seemed to verbalize the struggle that it can be sometimes. And she was looking at the last 2 months. And she really vocalized how she was so frustrated on how she's looked at that data and said, I have gained and lost the same like 1.5 pounds, I think, over the last 2 months. And she was really frustrated with that. And sometimes we can, go through that and feel that way. And it really resonated with me. And it really made me want to go look. I looked back at my last 2 months and all of the data that I have on WW because I keep all my weight data on there, my weigh-ins. And I looked at the average and there were a lot of losses. Granted, I'm grateful. There were more losses, twice as many losses as there were gains. So I'm grateful for that. But there were some big losses as well as big gains. So by the time I was done looking at the 2 months, all the pluses and all the minuses, what I have solidly lost is 3.8 pounds over the last 2 months. Just the last 2 is what I looked at. And so 3.8 to me is significant. It's good. I'll take it. It is enough for me on my 5.3 petite frame where everything that I gain shows up very well. It's enough for me to have looser pants, almost an inch off my waist, feeling so much better in my clothes, moving a little better here and there. It makes a difference. And so I am encouraged. And so I'll keep building on that and keep going. So I'm so glad to see that solid loss. It is really, really hard to lose weight right now. I've been through menopause. I'm 57, not the easiest thing in the world. And when I do finally lose the weight, I have to be so careful because I could gain it back just by walking by a bakery and smelling it. I feel like I walk out on the other side of that a little heavier. It's just so easy and it doesn't come off easy. So, she was talking about being frustrated at this point in her life where she's at and dealing with the weight struggle. And I could certainly relate to that. And I was telling her that I had gone through a moment in my life when I was going through perimenopause. Let's just look at that. And my body was saying, I need to gain weight because your ovaries are sputtering out and I'm not getting any estrogen from them. So I've talked about this before. So the body says, I'm going to put this estrogen around your middle because that's a really good place for me to get estrogen, because the fat stores are going to produce estrogen, and this is the safest place to put it. So I watched it get larger while I was trying everything under the sun to fight it. And I couldn't, because my body needed that. It needed the estrogen. And so it just felt like before I went into perimenopause, I was just this quarter horse running down the street. I was able to gain and lose at will. And just, it was great. And then I went through menopause. And when I came out of the other side of that cloud, my quarter horse, it felt like it turned into a stubborn donkey on the other side of that. And even though I know I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and I am just, I love my body the way that it is, no matter where I'm at right now, it is very stubborn. And I feel like in order to lose weight, sometimes it's sitting its butt down on the ground, and I am yanking on those reins saying, come on, let's go. And it doesn't want to go. It'll go when it's good and ready to go. And I bring it good food, and I try to, give it walks and whatnot. And that donkey's just going to do what it does when it does it. And I can just do the best that I can do. And that's kind of how I feel where I'm at, right now. The weight loss it's not easy. But if I'm consistent, I can budge that donkey a little bit more and more down the road. And eventually I think I'm going to get there, right? And it might just look a lot more like the horse by the time we get there. I don't know, but no, it's not going to happen now without a bunch of attention and coaxing and, everything that I need to do. I used to like to do a lot of different diets, right? I used to love to if you've seen my channel, you've been with me for a while, I like to try everything, right? Sometimes I just get a little bored and I like to mix it up. Right now, I kind of feel like I'm done with that for a little bit. I'm not making any promises. But I feel like I just want to eat real food, right? I just want to eat real food, and I just want to find this happy place within there. I don't want to and everybody's different. Everybody's body responds differently, and I respect everybody's choice to go about this differently. But for me, I love whole foods. I love whole carbs. I love my oatmeal. I love fruit. I don't go to town on it. I have it once in a while, maybe twice a day. Maybe twice a day is nice. Sometimes I don't get around to twice, but sometimes I do, and it's great because it's like a dessert. I love fiber. I eat low fat. I prefer to eat low fat because it works better for my body. I do still eat fattening things. I do still eat out. I do still eat at other people's homes. This is my life, and I have to find a happy place within that realm. And I'm happy doing that. Yes, this week I was watching other wonderful channels, and they were going over the weekly for this week and the power of no and saying no. And I really love the thought of exercising your no muscle. Whenever I say no and I exercise my no muscle, I feel good and I feel empowered because I feel like I've stood up for myself. And I think that's really, really important. When I first started to use my no muscle, it was back when we were overcommitting ourselves to running certain events and volunteering and things like that. And it would bring up so much stress that I could honestly it felt like I could feel the cortisol hitting the back of my neck and running up my back. It was just so tremendous. And I have this vivid picture in my mind of leaving the house, turning around to lock the door with that feeling in my mind that I've overcommitted myself to the event I was going to, and I was super stressed. And that was such a common picture that was happening like 100 times that month, that it just really made an impact. And I never want to be in that position again where I left myself like no margin of time. And I was just so stressed. So finally, that stuck with me so hard that years after that, when I could see myself being overly committed by somebody else to, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Can you head this up? Can you lead that? And I say, no, I'm sorry, I can't. That is just not, that's not in my possibility, my realm of possibility. I'm overcommitted already. I have this planned, or I won't be able to because of this limitation. I'm sorry. And coming back from that, the more you do that, the more you say no, the easier it is to say no. So now I have to kind of go the other way and go, hey, I can help out once in a while because I got so good at that. But it's the same with the food. I think with the diet, once you start exercising that no muscle, it becomes easier and easier and easier. And then sometimes, at the beginning of that, you say no because, and you have to add a qualifier because blah, 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 blah. And you don't always have to do that. Sometimes just say no, no, thank you. And I think of a couple of people that used to say no. In my family growing up, I'll just say this really quick. Growing up, you didn't refuse food. If you refuse food that people give you was an insult. You do not refuse food. And especially going over and you're invited to somebody's house, not necessarily for dinner, but they cook for you, right? Relatives cook for you. And if you say no, big slap in the face because that's all they could really do for you. And so it was like, this is from my heart. Do you want my heart? And then you're basically saying, no, I don't want your heart. So you don't say no, right? I have a sister who is the sweetest thing. And I learned the way that she said no really surprised me one time. She learned to say no in the absolute nicest possible way I've ever seen anybody say no. And I'll say, would you like to do this or that? Or would you like this or whatever it is I'm offering to her? And she'll look at me with the sweetest smile and she'll just say, no. And it is just the sweetest thing. It was so sweet, I could swear she was saying yes. And I had to kind of, what? What? Okay. But you couldn't possibly be upset with the way this person said no. And I've learned that from her. She is so sweet. I love her no's. So I guess learn to say no without a qualifier in the nicest way possible. Because it kind of catches people off guard. It was the same with an aerobic instructor I had so many years ago. It was back in the early, late 80s. And she was really sweet. And I offered her a piece of candy, which obviously in the shape that she was in, she never ate candy. I think she was very strict. And she looked at me and she had that same sweet smile. And she was like her smile was saying, thank you for offering it to me. But no, and I had to go, huh? Did she say no? And it just didn't, but they say it's so nice that you couldn't possibly be upset about it. And those no's have always stuck with me. So I don't know if I'm going to say no and I'm not adding a qualifier, I guess, which you don't have to do, say it sweet, right? You just might catch them off guard. But anyway, I'm going to let you go. We've talked enough this morning, guys. I just wanted to check in with you. I'm showing you what I ate in a day yesterday, and I will see you later today. All right. Love you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. All right. For breakfast this morning, 1 egg and a half a cup of egg whites. And then I have 1 cup of dry old-fashioned oats, 3 tablespoons of the nut pods on top, brown sugar swerve, 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds, and probably about a 1/3 cup of my fat-free blueberry compote that I make at home. And this is going to be my breakfast this morning. So good. And these nut pods work really, really well inside of some hot cereal. So for lunch, I'm having a cup of the pasta fagioli from last week. It's still in the fridge. This is the last bit. And I've got 2 Sara Lee breads, I've got tuna with a teaspoon of mayo in here, big heirloom tomato. I've got an apple on the side here, some veggies in my sandwich. And then for dinner, I'm having about a cup of asparagus, one baked chicken, half a cup of mixed beans, and one sourdough bread with just a little yogurt margarine. And here's where I ended up for the day.